All right, so let's dive into this thing that's been all over the place online, the 5 a.m. club. You know, that like super intense morning routine that everyone's talking about. Today we're going to go deeper. We've got someone who actually tried it, a freelancer, and plus we have some insights directly from the source, Robin Sharma's book, thanks to Blinkist.
I think it's really interesting to get that, that combination of someone who's actually lived it and then the expert advice. Like, it's one thing to read about a productivity hack, but it's another thing to hear from someone who's actually tried to, make it part of their life. And then also get the insights of someone like Robin Sharma, who, coaches leaders at NASA, Microsoft, Nike. That's pretty powerful.
Totally. And our freelancer is a lot like probably a lot of you listening. Mornings have been a mixed bag for them. Some days it's like coffee and emails in bed. Other days it's like rise and grind. But then they started seeing the 5 a.m. club everywhere on LinkedIn and it got them curious. So what's the deal with this 5 a.m. thing?
Well, the core idea is you wake up at 5 a.m. Yeah, you heard that right. And you spend that first hour on yourself following Sharma's 20-20-20 rule. So that's 20 minutes of exercise, 20 minutes of reflection, and then 20 minutes of learning. And Sharma says this sets you up for success because it boosts your productivity, creativity, health, even your happiness.
Sounds pretty ambitious. Did our freelancer actually make it work? Did they become a 5 a.m. person?
Not quite. They were a little skeptical at first, especially about that wake-up time, but they were intrigued by, the possible benefits. So they at least tried the 20-20-20 rule, and that's where Blinkist comes in. Instead of trying to, cram a whole book in before their morning coffee, they use Blinkist to get, the key takeaways from Sharma's book in that 20-minute learning block. Pretty efficient, right?
That's a really good idea. I mean, you listening right now, you're probably busy too. Who has time to read every single book cover to cover? Blinkist seems like a game changer.
Yeah, in this world where we're just overloaded with information all the time, it's really useful. Blinkist takes thousands of nonfiction books and boils them down to these short 15-minute summaries. You get the really important parts without getting lost in the details.
Okay, so let's actually get into some of those key insights from the 5 a.m. club. What stood out to you?
One of the most interesting concepts is this idea of limited mental capacity. You can kind of think of it as a muscle that gets tired during the day. We only have so much, cognitive bandwidth. And as we make decisions, process information, and just deal with the demands of everyday life, it gets depleted.
Oh, so like that feeling when you've had a crazy day at work and that thing you were going to do in the evening suddenly feels impossible.
Exactly. Sharma says that when you do exercise, reflection, and learning first thing in the morning, you're using those hours when your mental energy is at its best. You're basically taking care of yourself before all the demands of the day hit you.
So instead of trying to fit those things in at the end of a long day, when you're already mentally drained, you make them a priority right from the start. I like that. What else did Blinkist highlight?
Another really good idea is day stacking. It's all about the power of small, consistent improvements. Sharma says that even just a 1% improvement each day adds up to over 300% growth over a year.
Wow, that's huge. So small changes can make a big impact in the long run.
Yeah, and there's a great quote from the book, "All change is hard at first, messy in the middle, and gorgeous at the end." It's like trusting the process and knowing that small daily efforts can lead to big results.
I love that. So let's talk more about this 20-20-20 rule. Why is the order so important?
Well, starting with exercise is about getting your blood pumping. It energizes your body and your mind. It's like jump-starting your day. Then you move into reflection, whether that's meditation, journaling, or just some quiet time to help you clear your head, set your intentions, and get focused.
So you're getting your body and mind in sync before taking on anything too difficult.
Right. And then finally, you spend time learning, expanding your knowledge, and feeding your curiosity. By the time you finish that hour, you've already taken care of your physical, mental, and intellectual well-being.
You're basically setting yourself up for a good and productive day. And what I like about this routine is that it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
Definitely. The great thing about the 20-20-20 rule is that you can adapt it to your own needs and what you like. The important thing is to figure out what works for you and do it consistently.
It's about making a routine that works for you and helps you succeed, and using something like Blinkist to make that learning block easier. That's brilliant. I bet our listeners want to know more about that.
I think so too. Blinkist is really interesting, and it fits in perfectly with what the 5 a.m. club is all about.
Let's talk about it. What else can Blinkist do for someone who's trying to improve their mornings?
Okay, so for those of you listening who might not know, what exactly is Blinkist? What makes it special? So think about this. Getting the main points of a nonfiction book in 15 minutes. That's Blinkist. They take thousands of books and condense them into these really short summaries. It's perfect if you're busy. You don't have to read hundreds of pages. You just get the most important stuff, the stuff you can actually use.
Right, and they've got audio versions too, so you can listen while doing other things. That would be perfect for those 20-minute learning blocks. You could listen on your commute, at the gym, even while you're getting ready in the morning.
Yeah, it's like having a superpower for learning fast. And that's super important, especially when you're trying to do something like the 5 a.m. club. It's about making learning a habit, something you can easily fit into your day.
Our freelancer used Blinkist specifically for the 5 a.m. club. But I bet they have tons of other books that would be great for that 20-minute slot rate.
Oh yeah, for sure. They have a huge library. Books on productivity, personal growth, even leadership. If you want to build good habits like we were talking about, they have Atomic Habits by James Clear. And if you want to learn how successful people structure their days, there's Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. There's so much to choose from.
It's like having this amazing collection of knowledge right there on your phone. And it sounds like Blinkist is becoming pretty popular.
Yeah, it's definitely not just some small thing anymore. Apple even picked it as a top app for lifelong learning. And, big publications like the New York Times and The Guardian have said really good things about it.
So it's a real deal resource, not just another internet fad that's going to disappear.
Exactly. And the reviews from people who use it are amazing. We're talking over 30 million users and like 94,000 five-star ratings. People are really getting something out of it.
I was actually reading a review earlier from someone who said, Blinkist has completely changed how I learn. I can finally fit reading into my busy schedule without feeling overwhelmed. I know. It sounds like Blinkist is helping people make learning part of their everyday life, which is totally in line with what the 5 a.m. Club is all about.
I think that's the main takeaway here. Both the 5 a.m. Club and Blinkist are about making small, consistent changes to improve yourself. It's not about becoming an expert overnight. It's about gradually expanding your knowledge and skills over time.
So it's all about playing the long game. The results come from those daily efforts you make.
Exactly. It's about realizing that even just 15 minutes of focused learning every day can make a big difference in the long run.
That's pretty encouraging, actually.
Yeah.
Because it makes it seem a lot more doable. It's not about trying to change everything all at once. It's about incorporating these small, manageable habits into your routine.
Right. It's about progress, not perfection. That's what makes it sustainable.
So let's go back to our original question. Is all the hype around the 5 a.m. Club actually worth it? What are your final thoughts?
Well, I think it's important to remember that waking up at 5 a.m. isn't for everyone. It depends on things like your lifestyle, your work schedule, what you personally prefer. But the main ideas behind the 5 a.m. Club, prioritizing self-care, being intentional about learning, and using your mental energy when it's at its best, those are valuable for everyone.
So even if you're not ready to be a hardcore 5 a.m. Club member, there are still some really useful things to learn from it.
Absolutely. The key is to figure out which parts speak to you and find ways to apply them to your own life.
And having a tool like Blinkist can really help you do that, by making learning more accessible and easy to fit in.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's all about finding those tools and strategies that make it natural for you to work on improving yourself every day.
So listener, here's something to think about. Imagine setting aside just 1 extra hour every day, whether it's at 5 a.m. or some other time that works for you. An hour focused on becoming a slightly better version of yourself. What could you do in a year? What skills could you learn? What goals could you achieve?
It's a pretty cool thought, right? The possibilities are like endless.
And it all starts with that decision you make to put your own growth first, to make those small but consistent efforts. That over time can lead to some pretty amazing results.
So here's what we want you to do. Check out the 5 a.m. Club and check out Blinkist. See if this combo could be like the secret to unlocking your own potential. You might be surprised by what you find.
Maybe you'll even be one of those people leaving those awesome reviews, talking about how a small change to their routine completely transformed their life. Who knows, maybe we'll even have you on a future episode of The Deep Dive.
And that would be awesome. Going from total morning chaos to being a productivity master. All thanks to focusing on self-improvement and using some smart tools.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the 5 a.m. Club and Blinkist. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired.
It's crazy what a little bit of focused time and wanting to learn can do. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress. Small steps done consistently can lead to some really impressive outcomes.
So go out there, set your alarms, maybe not for 5 a.m. just yet, and embrace the power of lifelong learning. We'll be back next time with another cool deep dive. Until then, keep exploring.